now.
The Daily Signal is coming to you live from the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I'm Rob Louie, your host, and we are joined now by Darlene Swaffar, a delegate from the state of Florida, also a candidate for Congress in District 23. Thanks so much, Darlene.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you for having me.
Also known as the Medicare lady. We'll get to that in a moment, but I would be remiss if I didn't start with your thoughts from the floor of the convention. So I think you may be the first delegate, or one of the first delegates we've heard from. Thank you for coming over to the Daily Signal. What has it been like to experience in the Pfizer Forum?
It's I can't even put it into words, honestly. It's so incredible, and I don't understand how it was possible, but the Florida delegation is front and center. So when I share with you, I have seen everything that I could possibly see. The speakers, their emotions, very raw. A lot of sitting congressmen and women coming up and greeting us. It's so surreal. It's so surreal, and I don't take it for granted. I'm so humble in this experience, and this is my first time being a Florida delegate. It's been so thrilling, so exciting.
Well, what was it that motivated you to get involved and take a more active role? Obviously, running for Congress is a pretty big commitment on your part.
Yes. Well, I got involved in politics a few years ago when I felt that I could maybe lend some expertise in my field of accounting, finance, corporate finance, strategic thinking, problem solving. I'm an entrepreneur. I have expertise in Medicare and health insurance, and nobody's really talking about the issue of protecting Medicare and Social Security. 1/3 of my district are seniors. So that's another reason, but also where the direction of this country is heading. This is not the future I want from my son. I have a 15-year-old, so I'm thinking about him as well and all of our children.
Well, thank you for that. And on those substantive topics of Social Security and Medicare, we've seen progressive Democrats try to do some scaremongering tactics that Donald Trump was going to take away those commitments that many Americans rely on and depend upon. At the same time, we know that there are some challenges, right?
Yes.
Reforms maybe in the future that are needed. So from your perspective, why is it that you've taken on that as a commitment, and what would you hope to do as a member of Congress in the future when it comes to those issues?
Well, just listening to I knocked on over 10,000 doors, and dealing with the seniors in my company for 13 years, the primary concern is eliminating Part B and Part D penalties for late enrollment. It's forcing participation. Participation drives up claims, and that drives up the cost of Medicare. So why are you forcing them to come in when maybe they want to delay it and stay on group insurance, or just simply have concierge physician services? And then the other issue is there should be more of a focus on maybe a holistic path to healthcare. A lot of my clients are very health conscious. They want IV vitamin therapy treatments. They want more chiropractic, acupuncture, massage therapy services, and also more of a focus on hormonal replacement therapy. When your hormones are in balance, that adds to your internal health. And our seniors have figured that out. And unfortunately, that is not an area of focus on traditional medicine. So those are some of the recommendations that I have. I think that would bring costs down, maybe an a la carte system. A lot of my clients don't take medication. Medication is probably one of the biggest burdens of the expense of Medicare. And every single Medicare Advantage plan, 99% of them have prescription drugs built into it. So why not have an a la carte system? Don't penalize them for not having the Part D, because that's a penalty for not taking it when you're qualified, and maybe that also will drive down the cost. So I just have some ideas that I think could help improve not only the cost, but also the solvency of Medicare.
Yeah, well, obviously a big challenge.
Yes.
They don't call it the third rail of politics for a reason. They do call it the third rail for a reason. What are some of the things that you've experienced in terms of the door knocking what is on the mind of South Florida voters? I would
Yes.
imagine that given the age of many of your potential constituents in the future, these are some of them. But it seems that Americans are really struggling with the cost of gas, groceries, and rent.
Yes, I think that's the number one issue for sure. Economic policy, reducing the out of control spending, reducing the inflation. That is on the minds of everyone. I think we even have a reverse migration going on, especially with seniors that can't afford the doubling and tripling of their HOA dues. So that's number one. But interestingly enough, a topic that's rarely ever talked about, and in South Florida, it's such a healthy, focused lifestyle, is farming. They have an issue with Chinese-owned companies coming in and purchasing farmland. They have an
South Florida.
Oh yes, they have an issue with genetically modified food within our food supply. They have an issue with the Food and Drug Administration interfering with farmers' ability to go back to true organic farming, because we have a nutrient deficient issue with our food supply, and that's adding to the issues that we're having with our health.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, thank you for bringing up substantive issues
Yes.
that I think too often are probably glossed over by
Yes.
the liberal media because
Yes.
of their interest in other topics.
Yes.
Let me ask you this. Certainly, Jared Moskowitz, who currently represents the district,
Yes.
comes from at it with a certain perspective. Have you had a debate? Do you expect to have a debate with him? And what are the dynamics that you think will play a central role in your race?
Yeah, he has not offered to have a debate. I'd love to take him on that challenge if he ever would participate. But, I don't think he'd win. Part of the issue is he's got a progressive voting record and just recently voted to have the question of citizenship off the census. And, the census determines how many seats that we have in the House. So, of course, the Democrats in lockstep don't want that question on there. And the second issue is the Freedom Index score rates him 11%. That means 89% of the time he's voting against our constitutional and God-given rights. So he's going to lose on that issue.
What would you like to hear from former President Trump in his acceptance speech tonight?
I can't wait. I may even start bawling. I mean, it's just a really emotional experience. I know that the focus of the Republican Party is on unifying the nation, and you saw that reflective with all the speeches last night, right? But with President Trump, we're looking for somebody who, despite the fact that there was such a severe incident that just happened on Saturday, that he's going to focus on, let's get past all this. Let's focus on making our country the most amazing place that we could possibly make it for the future of our children. And we need more hope. I think that's what people are lacking in our country. They want to feel hope, and they want to feel that, economic opportunity, okay, is available for everyone. Okay, we don't want handouts. We want the opportunity to pursue the life that we want to pursue. I'm a living example of that rags to success story. I grew up in a drug-infested war zone called Bushwick, Brooklyn in the 70s and 80s. We had a really hard life. I grew up very poor, and I moved to Florida 30 years ago. And through the course of many people that I met and mentors that I was exposed to is how I got to where I am today as an entrepreneur running a very successful business. I want that for everyone. I want that for my child. I want that for all of our children.
What is your message to the Americans who are frustrated with our political system, maybe on the sidelines and think their vote doesn't count or they don't need to engage?
Yeah, I love that question, and I'll tell you why. I think in a way we've kind of been programmed not to care. A lot of the media, and all the visceral that's happening, that really turns people off. But I think it's, in a way, it's biblical. And in the Bible, you have to vote the Bible. In the Bible, it says you need to be engaged in your community, you need to choose your leaders, and you need to pray for your leaders. Our country was founded on Judeo-Christian values, right? We were created for a moral and just society and not a society for any other. And so we have to have self-governance, and we have to be involved. If we want a beautiful government that's going to protect our God-given rights, we need to do the work to instill that government, okay? So that's the message that I have for everybody. Everyone needs to get involved.
Well, thank you for that inspiring message and good words to close on. Darlene Swaffar, thank you for giving us a perspective from somebody who has a front row seat at the Republican National Convention. We are envious of your vantage point, and certainly tonight, enjoy the experience of being right there to see Donald J. Trump accept the Republican Party's nomination for president.
I'm excited, and if anybody wants to follow my campaign, it's voteswaffar.com, SWAFFAR. So please follow my campaign. Our election's on August the 20th.
Thank you, Darlene. For the Daily Signal, I'm Rob Bluey. We'll have more interviews coming up from the Republican National Convention here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Stay tuned.